No self-respecting chief financial officer would dream of trying to run a company without a constantly updated set of financial statements. Neither should you. That's why the first step in the retirement preparedness checklist is to create personal financial statements. Personal financial statements serve a couple of really important functions. Number one, they tell you where you are. Number two, they are a starting point for mapping out where you want to go. And number three, they let you know whether or not you're on track along the way. Personal financial statements are made up of two documents, an income statement and a balance sheet. The income statement reflects all of your various sources of income and where all you spend that income. The difference between your income and expenses is money that's, well, at least theoretically, available to save. Now, I like to divide expenses up into two different categories: non-discretionary expenses and discretionary expenses. Non-discretionary expenses are those things that you have to pay each month. They're things like your mortgage, your groceries, insurance. Discretionary expenses are everything else. Now, your personal balance sheet is a tally of your assets and your liabilities. Assets are things you own. Liabilities are things you owe. Your assets will include things like equity in your home, savings accounts, your 401k balances, things like that. Your liabilities will include mortgages, leases, student loans, and credit card balances, among others. And the difference between your assets and your liabilities is your net worth. Your first step in creating a set of personal financial statements is tracking your finances. Now, this is a lot easier to do if you do it on an ongoing basis rather than trying to go back and organize a year or two worth of statements and receipts. That's just not going to happen. My favorite tool for tracking your day-to-day inflows and outflows is called Mint.com, M-I-N-T, Mint.com. Check it out if you don't already have a system for doing this. It is so easy. You won't believe it. Mint automatically downloads all of your transactions from your bank, your brokerage firms, and your credit card companies, and then it attempts to categorize those for you. All you have to do is spend a couple of minutes, maybe once a night, once a week, something like that, looking through and correcting the ones that it categorized incorrectly, and it's pretty darn good at it. So if you keep Mint up to date, creating a personal income statement and a balance sheet is going to be a snap, right? You can get an Excel template for an income statement and a balance sheet from our website at snyderadvisors.com. You can also access our full-blown free retirement planning web app there as well. When your personal financial statements are complete, that's when you can really get into the nitty-gritty of retirement planning. Because without them, you're just throwing darts. Personal financial statements are a prerequisite for many of the consultations that I do with clients and prospective clients. If you've never done personal financial statements before, your spending history in particular is likely to hold several surprises. The biggest surprise? Well, in my experience, it tends to be the total in the eating out category. That's the one that most people look at and say, really? We spend that much? But that's the beauty of personal financial statements. Having them allows you to get intentional about where you're spending your money. And unless you've got more than enough money, then being intentional is the key to being financially successful. I'll tell you, here's how it works in my family, right? So I need or want something today. But my husband Jim and I have outlined a number of things that we need or want in the future too, like being able to retire without worrying about how we're going to pay the bills, just as one example. Now, personally, my most motivating goal for the future is to be able to continue to afford to play polo. So for me, everything that I want or need today is measured in terms of polo. So, those tennis shoes that I need, well, they're about the same as one chucker of polo, so let me think about that. No, I don't really need those tennis shoes. Right? You get how that works. That's being intentional. It's making conscious trade-offs between what you want and need when you can't have everything. On their own, personal financial statements will only tell you where you are and where you've been in the past. But their power for retirement planning purposes is to use them as a starting point to project the costs of retirement in the future. If you now know, for example, that you spend $500 per month on groceries currently, then you just ask yourself, all right, what will that look like in retirement? The same, more, or less? And you put down the number. Maybe you have 5 boys at home and they eat lots of groceries, but when you retire, they'll be out of the house, so the number will be less. Whatever it's going to look like, that's what you put in that category. So, and you do that for each category. How about travel and every other category that you have? Fill in the numbers based on where you are today and then project that forward. The free retirement planning web application, which is available at SnyderAdvisors.com, I mentioned it earlier, allows you to enter your income statement and your balance sheet information and then model and store various future income and expense scenarios. Those numbers are the inputs that you are going to need to answer critical retirement questions, 2 critical retirement questions. How much money do I need to be able to retire? And when will I have that much? In fact, our retirement planning web app will calculate both of those for you based on your inputs. The ability to create alternative scenarios also allows you to answer my favorite question, at least from a retirement planning standpoint, or any kind of financial planning standpoint, actually. My favorite question is, what if? What if I lost my job tomorrow? How long could I live before I ran out of money? What if inflation averaged 4.5% over my lifetime instead of 3.5%? How much more money would I need so that I didn't run out in retirement? What if I had to spend, $150,000 a year on long-term care for, say, 10 years? What would that mean to my nest egg? What if I push my retirement back 3 years? What's another what if? What if I saved an extra $10,000 a year? You get the idea. You can't possibly answer any of those questions without personal financial statements as a starting point. Now, once you get started, I think you'll be surprised at how easy it can be and how much you can learn and affect just by having the numbers in front of you. So, while you might think of personal financial statements as being about as exciting as watching trees grow, remember, they are essential tools for making your money grow. No corporate CFO would run a company without them. Neither should you.